To be honest, after the last episode, I thought this is going to be a very tough season. You know, we didn't have a great start to the season. We weren't really signing any players that were strengthening the side. It looked like it was going to be a pretty tough ask to stay up this year. But there seems to be some light at the end of the tunnel. But I won't get ahead of myself because the last time I was in the Championship, I think I won 3 of my first 5 games, got myself into the playoffs, and then ended up not winning a game for the next 3 months. So I think I'll just gladly bring myself back down to earth. In the last episode, in our first home game of the Championship season, we lost 1-0 to recently relegated Leicester in a game which we were absolutely dominated. Honestly, I haven't seen a domination that bad since probably the game before that where we lost to Birmingham City 2-0. See, you probably thought I was going to make a joke about my sex life or something, but I mean, you can't make a joke about it if you don't have one. But before we move on in the episode, I wanted to go through some of the signings that I've made after the Leicester game that we played in the last episode. So first of all, joining us on loan for the season from Oostende in Belgium is Jordi Schelfhout. He's a goalkeeper who's only really going to be third choice for me this season. I wanted to bring him in because his stats aren't too bad for a keeper that, as I said, is only going to be a backup for me. And also he's got 3 under-21s caps, so he must be pretty decent to be in the under-21 team for Belgium. The second signing we have made is another loan signing, and this time joining us on a season-long loan from Roma is Domen Zajek. I hope I've said that right because I seem to be mispronouncing a lot of names at the moment. But he's another defender which I actually quite like the look of, and I think we can develop him into a very good centre-back. I mean, he's pretty highly rated at Roma, so I'm looking forward to using him this season, quite sparingly because he won't be a first-choice centre-back for us, but he does give us a good option. And also I have signed him because he's a full international for Slovenia, and I feel like we need a few internationals in the squad. And our final signing is a permanent signing this time, and Morgan Whitaker joins us from Huddersfield Town for 675,000. I looked at the left wing position as an area we can improve, and he does look quite good. I think he can also develop into a very good player for us. He's only 22 as well, by the way, and his wages aren't too bad, so I'm looking forward to using him. And to be honest, he could just end up as another Dan Nalundalu, which is another player that obviously hasn't hit the ground running at the club. Now, following that defeat against Leicester City, we took on Bristol Rovers, a team that had got promoted with us last season, and a team I thought we could get our first win against. That was until their striker Joe Adayo, a striker they just signed this summer, scored 4 goals against me. He scored a first half hat-trick within 30 minutes. And it's basically the Mo Isa problem again, where, you know, he scored 4 goals against me as we lost 6-2 to Peterborough. But Bristol Rovers only beat me 5-2, even though Alex Patterson pulled a goal back. Joe Adayo scored another goal in the second half. In our Carabao Cup first round game, Morgan Whitaker opened his account for the club with the winner as we beat Warsaw by 2-1, which did set up a tie against Bristol City in the second round. I genuinely don't think we're ever going to get a big team in a cup game. In our following home game, Noel Ennis opened his account for the season with this great strike inside the box as we took an early lead against Preston North End, but then they equalised in the second half and we managed to hold on to a 1-1 draw, which was our first point of the season. In the following home match against Bournemouth, Liam Cullen gave us an early lead after 3 minutes with this strike from 12 yards out, but then Mariano, a striker they signed in the summer from Real Madrid, ended up scoring a hat-trick against me, all in the first half, as we ended up losing by 3-2. Noel Ennis also scored in the Bournemouth game and then continued his goal-scoring form with 2 goals away at Sheffield Wednesday as we took an early lead, and then ended up setting another one up for Morgan Whitaker as we went 3-0 up at the break. But then Callum Patterson scored a quick-fire double in the second half as he pulled the score back to 3-2, but we managed to hold on to the lead and then win our first game of the season. And we continued that good run of form with a 1-0 win over Bristol City in the Carabao Cup second round as Alex Samuel, who is going to be a bit part player for me this season, scored the winner with this great strike outside the box. Now, in this episode, we do take on Millwall away from home, a team that are currently just above us in the league, so it's quite an interesting game to pick. He says as it's most inevitably going to end up 0-0. Now, the defeat against Bournemouth, where we lost by 3-2 at home, also saw us go 5 games from the start of the season without winning a match, and the media wanted to make a big deal of it. But they said that apparently the poor form that we've been having recently means that supporters are now recalling our famous Carabao Cup second round defeat against Cheltenham last season. To be brutally honest, I don't really care that much. I mean, we went out last season to Cheltenham because I played the second string side against a side that are clearly better than us.
I have no knowledge of any of this. This is so bizarre.
The media are not getting on my back today. Curtis Anderson, who last season was my 3rd choice goalkeeper and now turned out to be my 4th choice goalkeeper, has decided to join Jacksonville Armada on loan for the rest of the season. I mean, to be honest, I don't think I can recall any Jacksonville Armada players off the top of my head. I mean, does the team even exist? Who have I sent him to? Oh, right, he's the only player that exists on the team. So, I mean, good luck, Curtis. I'm sure you're going to enjoy your time out in Jacksonville. Now, it is still transfer season, and with one player outgoing, it was time to bring in another player. And it's not a goalkeeper this time, it's a centre-back. And joining us on a free transfer after his contract at Arsenal expired is Zek Medley. He looks like a fairly good centre-back for us. I think he's going to probably be our 2nd or 3rd choice this season. Just because, you know, the players that we currently have at the club aren't really championship standard at the moment. And to be honest, I mean, he looks like he could hit all the right notes. I'm sure he's going to love collaborating with the other defenders in the team. I mean, these music puns are just really shit, aren't they? Like, it shows that I'm not a comedian. Now, when it came to deadline day, the first idea I had in my head was I need to improve the centre midfield positions because, you know, we have brought in a couple of players, but it is still not strong enough for me. And then I went to go and sign Callum Slattery, a player that I actually quite like the look of from Spain. He then ended up joining FC Andorra. He turned me down to join FC Andorra. This may well be the lowest point of my management career. I mean, I say that quite a lot in the series, so I think it's up there. It's definitely up there as one of the lowest points. We also made an ambitious bid to bring in Theo Zidane, but he rejected us, which, I mean, I'm not really surprised about because I don't think he's even heard of Wycombe. And to be honest, going from Real Madrid's reserves to Wycombe's first team is a pretty big downgrade. In other news, Manchester United signed Caglar Soyuncu from Leicester for 55 million, which could actually rise up to 74 million. I mean, it's astounding that they've signed him after he's made 6 appearances in the Championship. And to put it into context, because he did play against me in the Leicester game in the last episode, the amount Leicester have sold him for is my team's value times 50. And even then, I don't think we're anywhere near the value. Now, I can announce my 2 new deadline day signings that we have made, and I looked at improving the centre midfield position because, as I mentioned already, that was an area of improvement for us. So joining us for 175,000 from Ipswich Town is Teddy Bishop. He's only really played for Ipswich in his career, but he's had a pretty good career there. He's not been too bad of a player for them, and I think actually he could be quite an option for us. And he just adds a bit more depth to our playmaker positions because I like to play one ball winning midfielder and one playmaker, and we only really have 2 at the club, so I wanted to bring in another one in, you know, to freshen things up. So my second deadline day signing looked to bring in a new striker because with Niall Ennis being the only player of championship quality up front, I feel like we need a bit more depth up there. So joining us for £900,000 is Keenan Davis. He joins us from Aston Villa on a 3-year deal, and he looks like a fantastic player for this level. He did play for Sheffield Wednesday last season in the championship and only got 6 goals, but I feel like if I get the team around him playing to his strengths, I feel like he could be a very, very good signing for us. And to be honest, I haven't had the target man at the club since I had Uche Piazzu about 3 seasons ago, and I got rid of him really early, so he might actually be the man who will make me fall in love with target men again. Not quite sure I'm going to explain to my parents that I've fallen in love with a role on Football Manager. And of course, you know, the Keenan Davis signing, because he's on 10 grand a week, means Ike Ogbo's wage has now gone up to 10 grand a week. I mean, I am a fucking idiot. But now we move into our game against Millwall away from home, and this is a big game for us because this is one of the teams that is going to be battling relegation with us, so we do need to get the 3 points here. And our away form hasn't really been the best when it comes to the championship. But even with that in mind, I've decided to stick with the 4-2-3-1 formation that we have been playing pretty much the majority of the season, as we have the sort of resources to only play that formation and nothing else. With Cameron Isaac only fit enough to take his place on the bench, it means that Daniel Grimshaw comes back into goal. Trevor Clark has been pushed back from left wing to left back, with Domenico Dehaney playing at right back, and Josh Knight and Zek Medley will be our centre-back partnership in this game. Harry Clark and Alex Patterson will be our midfield 2 once again this season, with Adam Phillips playing in the number 10 role, with Morgan Whitaker and Ike Ogbo playing either side of him. And of course, Niall Ennis will lead the line for us as he is now our top goal scorer this season, and most likely will be. Okay, so for the first time this season, and most likely the last time this season, this is a game that I'm going to live com where I feel like we actually do have a decent chance of winning this match. And yes, I know I say that a lot, but Millwall did get relegated in the first season we had at Wycombe, and they lost a lot of their key players, and I don't think they've replaced them with championship standard players. I mean, I'll soon probably realise how ironic that statement is. But one of our biggest problems this season is not actually starting the game fast enough, and, you know, we've gone behind in a couple of games this season, and we struggled to come back into it. So as long as we keep tight for the first, you know, good few minutes, then we should be good. That would have been the case if Millwall didn't get a corner after 45 seconds, and then John Marquis then headed in the ball. Great, we're 1-0 down within a minute. Yeah, of course it's John Marquis as well, you know, Pompey player, and, yeah, I mean, there's not really much more to say on it. Now, after that early setback, we did start getting on the ball a bit more, and after about 8 minutes, Morgan Whitaker got the ball and then started running at the Millwall defence, but then proceeded to fire the ball into the side netting. And that man Whitaker was involved again as he put a lovely ball into the box at Ike Ogbo at the back post, but then he forced a save from the goalkeeper. But the striker would not be denied, as then a couple of minutes later, a ball into the box found Ike Ogbo at the back post, and then he headed it in to bring us on level terms. I mean, I'm putting it out there, I think Ike Ogbo may well be the most underrated player in the series. He might be getting the match highest earner clause, which means he's on now like 10 grand a week. But if the boy keeps scoring like this, I think he's well worth the 10 grand a week. Morgan Whitaker was looking like our danger man in this game, and Niall Ennis played him in, and then he managed to find himself one-on-one with the keeper, but then forced a good save from Joe Lewis. And then on the stroke at half-time, with Millwall not looking threatening at all, Harry Clark decided to go and 2-foot their player, and then get himself sent off. Genuinely, what was the point of 2-footing him there? With that in mind, I decided to change things up and brought off my number 10, Adam Phillips, and then brought on Sean McLaughlin to play centre-back, and then pushed Josh Knight into the defensive midfield role. And that brought an eventful first half to a close, and to be fair, it's not looking too bad. You know, everything's in the balance at the moment. It could go either way, although we are down to 10 men. So, you know, if Millwall could get a man sent off, then that would be great. Which then they proceeded to do 5 minutes after the restarts. Ben Thompson then did a 2-footed lunge on EK Ogbo on the right wing and then got himself sent off. With less than half an hour of the game left to go, I decided to send on Keenan Davis for his debut and take off Niall Ennis, who had a pretty quiet game in some respects. But Millwall were consistently getting the chances, and offside 2-2 on the right wing then put a great ball into the box, with Graham Shinney then proceeded to head over the bar when it probably was easier to score. Daniel Grimshaw then caught offside 2-2's free kick and then laid the ball off of D'Amico Dehaney, who without thinking hit a 90-yard long ball forward, which then saw Keenan Davis get ahead of Hayden Muller and then find himself one-on-one with the keeper before firing into the back of the net. I mean, he's already repaying the 900 grand that I spent on him. The bloke's not even match fit and he's already doing stuff like that. I mean, imagine when he is match fit. Millwall then proceeded to get another chance as offside 2-2 put another ball into the box, and then somehow the highlight then went straight to a penalty. I didn't even see a penalty claim in there at all. But left back Kevin Rodriguez stepped up for Millwall and then fired his penalty to the bottom left hand side, which Daniel Grimshaw saved and kept us in the lead. I mean, who said he was a shit signing? Actually, I don't think anyone said he was a shit signing. And then deep into injury time, Trevor Clark and Dan Nalondalou, who just came off the bench, played a 1-2, and Trevor Clark then put the ball into the box for Keenan Davis to head it in and give us all 3 points. I mean, what a signing. What an absolute signing this man is. I mean, we may have found the better Uche Ikpeazu. We may well have found him. I wonder what Football Manager are going to do, because, you know, every time I bring in a new player and he actually does quite well, he normally gets injured for a couple of months. So, you know, if you could do that anytime soon, Football Manager, that'd be fantastic. But I think we can finally say that we are championship standards. Although I don't think a lot of my team are singing from the same hymn sheet. I mean, I've really got to stop making music puns because we signed a medley.